G'day there, and welcome back to the $100,000 to $1 million challenge. In this video, I'll be taking a look back at the seeds I've been planting in the last 2 weeks, as well as what the plan is for the weeks ahead. Please note that the information contained in this video is not financial advice and is purely for entertainment purposes. In today's video, I'll begin with the market outlook, in particular looking at Bitcoin and the Bitcoin spot ETF, the decision which is due in a couple of days. Secondly, looking at what I've been airdrop farming, what I've been buying and selling recently in altcoin land, how the portfolio looks today, and to finish up, if we do end up nuking, what are things that I'm looking to pick up. If you do find value in the video, please help the channel out, either by liking the video or subscribing to the channel. All trades that I take are logged in the Discord channel, and you'll find my full portfolio in there too. In terms of the market outlook, here's the Bitcoin daily chart. We've got a clearly defined range. Bottom of the range, 41 to 87. Top of the range, about 44,000. We've got for me, key support at 42,412. So there's nothing surprising for this price action. Certainly, we've pierced the bottom of the range, but we've closed within the range. Here, there was a bit of a fake out here where we closed above. Then, of course, we got this big dump on this. What was it, Jihang Wu Matrix Port article, but we're really poised and just waiting for the outcome of this ETF decision on January 10th. Zooming out, looking at just over the last year's price action. In fact, the start of the challenge, we just had this completed head and shoulders. And I said it's a really strong base. It's going to set up for the bull market. The measured move was 33,905. And because of this ETF narrative, in my opinion, that's why we've continued onwards and further up and to the right. We've got this consolidation here. January 10th, critical day. And I've also put on here February 15th. Okay? March 15th, Friday, the 15th of March, 2024. And for me, that's really important because that's the BlackRock final deadline for either approval or denial. Obviously, in following crypto Twitter, a lot of the voices out there are saying that, hey, this is a 90% thing that's going to happen on Wednesday. It's a 95% thing that's going to happen on Wednesday. I did my probabilities. I don't think it's a 95% thing. I don't think it's a 90% thing. And in the last video, I definitely talked about, for me, this chart kind of says we want to have a flush out here. It would make a lot of sense to me if we flush out here. If the SEC says there's a technicality, 21 ARC, small technicality, we're going to deny here. You're going to have to go back to the drawing board, come back with new approval. Really, what does that mean? For me, SEC, Bedrock, they've got a secret deal. That's the one that's going to get through. BlackRock's the one with the track record of always getting their ETFs approved. So it would make perfect sense to me for this to be denied. We come down. However, it's not that long until the BlackRock final decision will be due. So really, I'm threading a needle here if I'm to say sell, sit on the sidelines, deny, try and pick it up on a dump. Because by the time this BlackRock thing comes around again, I reckon we're going to be at about the same price, if not higher. So, it's nice that my portfolio is a lot higher than when I started the challenge, because I have a buffer mentally that I can take some drawdown here, wherever that drawdown is going to be on a denial. And this is, I guess you could say, planning for the worst. The worst is we get a denial here. I would really expect an approval here. Sure, we could get denial, then we come all the way back down somewhere around here. But I guess my base case, my central case would be denial and then approval for BlackRock. Once BlackRock is approved, we get an approval, we get a big pump. Once they list, that's when you get a dump. And then after that flush, that's the beginning of the bull run. That's my central case. Of course, anything can happen. This is cryptocurrency, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, best case, of course, we just get approved either on Wednesday or prior to Wednesday, and then don't have to worry about any of this. And in that case, it's just a case of buy whatever I get my hands on. If I can't, there'll be a dump on listing. In theory, that's generally what's happened in the past. It's not set in stone, but it's a reasonable assumption to make. At that point, you pick up everything that you've ever wanted to pick up, and then it's just a case of playing the patience game. Looking at airdrops, okay, so this Manta Pacific thing has been all over the internet, all over Twitter. Hey, send all your ETH over there. You're going to get all this Manta token. I don't argue that I think Manta's going to be worth a lot, but for me, there's just too much BS here. Fixed native yield. I mean, okay, so you send over your ETH, you get this stone, which is basically staked ETH. You send over your USDC, you get this WUSDM, which is basically USDC, which gets treasury yield. This is not native. Like, you can have these. You have ST ETH, okay. You have SDI. These already exist. Manta reward, fine. Ecosystem native yield. I mean, every ecosystem has native yield. I just didn't like it, and I don't like the idea of having to send over all my ETH, and then it gets stuck there, because the way that they've done it is they've said, hey, you send over your ETH, you send over your USDC, you get either stone or you get WUSDM, and in 69 days you can then withdraw it. So I spent a lot of time on this, trying to figure out, is this the right thing to do? Send all my ETH over there. The problem for me was that this stone, if you send your ETH over, you get stone, but stone's lost its peg, and at the time when I was looking at this, it was about 1 ETH would buy 1.1 stone. And the reason for that is that in terms of stake stone, the company, this is on the Ethereum mainnet, where if you have stone, you can then redeem it for ETH, but it's at the rate that they say. It was pretty close to 1-to-1 on ETH, but what Manta have done is they've closed all the bridges for stone off, so you can't get your stone off of Manta back to ETH. They're in cahoots with all the bridges. I went through all the bridges that I could find. None of them could send stone back to the mainnet so that you could redeem it. And so what you end up with is this lost peg. And so instead, what I've done is I've taken 10 ETH, I've sent it over to Manta Pacific. I've got it here in QuickSwap. I sold, just over half of it for stone, and I'm an LP here in the stone ETH 0.3% pool on QuickSwap. Now, by my calculations, it's going to be about a 36% APR. The nice thing about Manta is that in MetaMask you can manually set the gas really low and it will always go through. This means that I can regularly compound my unclaimed fees. The biggest risk is that stone will not repeg. I've done all my due diligence on stake stone. I do think that it's pretty well orchestrated, and once these 69 days pass, which will be sometime in March, that people will be able to send their stone back and redeem it for ETH, at which point the peg should come back to parity, if not pretty close. And so the reason that I'm doing this is that I'm just trying to build my ETH bag, because personally, even before we kind of bottomed, I did say that I think ETH will see at least 8,000 at a minimum in this bull run. So within the next 24 months, I am expecting to see at least an $8,000 ETH. And that's my base, that's my lowest kind of number. And so because of that, if I can get 36% APR, which is going to be about, if this peg at 1.06776 actually comes way close to parity, I will actually gain on my ETH, because I'll actually suffer permanent loss towards my ETH, so I'll have more ETH. So all I'm trying to do is build more ETH. That's also why I was looking at I had some stake in Eigenlayer in the previous video, because I'm just trying to build ETH. I mean, that won't give me ETH, but it will give me hopefully some Eigenlayer tokens. And it's just all about trying to use ETH to build more ETH, in the hope that we do see $8,000 plus in the next 24 months. Looking at recent buyers, I did enter this data ownership protocol private sale. There's been a big airdrop campaign for it. The team's going to drop 1% of all tokens through this airdrop campaign. The airdrop requires you to sign up 3 people at the end. I kind of got to that point and said, it's a bit too much work for me. This came along and I said, fine, because it's 100% vested straight on TGE, I'll go for it. Now I got it at 2.8 cents. I bought $2,500 worth. I know that there were better prices out there. I saw someone got 1.3 cents, but this is kind of the best opportunity at the time that I had, so I took it. I also went ahead and bought the graph. Now it's a bit of a boomer project. It's not I don't love buying it, but it does fit enough narratives. Data, I think at the end of the day, will be valuable in this bull cycle, provided we get the bull run. It had a nice chart structure. Okay, we'd cleared support, we'd closed above, we'd cleared resistance, we closed above it 2 weeks in a row. I said that's enough for me. I got ahead and picked up 18 cents. It's retraced now to 17 cents. I'm down a little bit, but I'm confident in these lows, and that's enough for me to be able to hold it with some degree of conviction. Illuvium, on the other hand, I'm not a gamer. I don't particularly understand the ins and outs of a good game or a good game ecosystem, but I know that this has been one of the kind of pioneers for this type of genre. There was a decent chart. We closed a few weeks above key resistance. So I said I'll step in at 100. Right now, 83.82, not looking so great, but I am still confident in these lows, so we'll see how we go. Okay, Mintlayer. In my last video, I said that the lessons of Q4 2023 would be: number 1, don't paper hand, key buys, hold with conviction. Number 2, avoid sideliners regret. Unfortunately, didn't quite learn the lessons for this one, because on 24th of December, which is going to be around about here, I bought it for 35 cents. Now, I was monitoring this one for a long time. Right in this consolidation, I was kind of just waiting and saying, hey, can you give me a bit of a dip here so I can get in? Absolutely took off. At that point, I just said, okay, fine, I'm going to set limit order at 35 cents. If I get filled, fantastic. Finally got filled. January 1st, I sold here at 40 cents. The reason being, on Twitter, I got a tweet that said, hey, Mintlayer, big unlock coming, 5% of circulating supplies coming on January 27th. I kind of thought about where we're at in the market, and I said, you know what, good enough for me to sell it. Sold the whole thing, and what happened? In 5 days, double the price. Now I'm just here with sideliners regret, and so really wish I held on to this despite the unlock, because it's just that good of a project. I mean, Bitcoin L2's finally taking advantage of this $1 trillion of Bitcoin that's locked up. It's going to be, I think, a huge narrative this cycle. Anything to do with Bitcoin L2s, Bitcoin DeFi, I think it's going to be a huge narrative. So I'm really kicking myself at the moment for letting this go. And now I'm experiencing sideliners regret and trying to get back in. Neutron, there's always been a lot of bashing of the value capture of the Atom token. Neutron, as far as I understand, is going to be the go-to place for if you need liquidity, you come to Neutron. And because of this, because of the big Cosmos narrative that's been happening, I said, okay, I've got to get into this. $1.25, January 27th, so I got in probably up here somewhere. And once I got in, I actually did set an order at $1.06, which is just underneath these tails here. I said $1.06, if you can give me $1.06, I'm going to buy some more, because I have good conviction in this project. Once something or other, I can't remember quite what happened here, and I said, you know what, actually I think on this one I said I'm not going to get filled, I'm just going to cut my order and move the money somewhere else to use for something else. What happened, we get this flash crash after this matrix port thing, and so I didn't get filled, and then off we go. I mean, at least I have some. I'm happy about that. I have high conviction in this project, so I'm happy enough. Would be nice to have more, but got to be happy with what you get sometimes. Okay, Shido. Now, Shido was having a look at this, and then it just really started to take off, and I just said, okay, I got to get into this thing at just 0.3%, just under 0.3%, and once it took off, this was pretty fast, so I kind of said, you know, if it doesn't look great up here, I'm going to just take out my initial, and so I sold about 45% of my tokens, got my initial back, at just over 0.65 of a cent, so just above here. Now the thing about Shido is it's playing off this Cosmos narrative. They are going to be a Cosmos chain with their mainnet coming out this month, and their use case is porting. It's easy for people who have developed dApps or teams developed dApps on the Ethereum virtual machine to port it to Cosmos, which is going to be way cheaper. It's going to be way faster. So for example, think what Moonbeam or Moonriver are doing for Polkadot, where you have an EVM app. You can easily port it over to Polkadot, except not many people use Polkadot. You can do it on IBC. So huge narrative, low market cap. I think it's about 100 million FDV. So it's got a lot of room to grow, but just based on where we are right now in the cycle, best to get my initial back. I'm not going to do anything with it now. Mentally, I'm kind of free. Whatever I've got left, you can just go ahead and do whatever it's got to do. So in terms of all the buys since the last video, the graph, Alluvium, Mintlayer, Neutron, Shadow, covered all of those. DAO Maker, I sold it all. The price action just wasn't throwing me compared to other launch pads, and I said if I can reallocate out of DAO Maker into paid or into Certify, then I will. I haven't yet, but I'm continuously monitoring that situation. Talked about Mintlayer, which I regrettably sold, and Red Pill, which was the meme coin that I picked up recently. I took out my initial, so I did do a sell on that. I do have whatever's left over though, so if it goes up, great. The portfolio today, 220, which is nice because if we do nuke here, at least I've got that buffer, and mentally that's going to be a lot easier than if I was on 100 here and I didn't want to, go below my starting stack. Okay, so obviously holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, paid, which I've got 150,000 tokens. Would like to pick up some more, see how we go. Got about 31k in stables, which is good, so that if we do nuke here, I have a little bit of ammo to go and pick some things up. Certify. Would like to pick up another 5,000 so I can get profit allocations. DuckDAO, I'm actually looking to decrease. I'm not thrilled with the Launchpad. I tried to go into the recent IDO, it was a recent private sale. Didn't have a great experience. Didn't even participate. Really gonna have to think about that one a lot more, but unfortunately I'm staked for 90 days. If I unstake early, I have to pay penalties, so I'm just gonna wait that one out. Yeah, it's a tough one. I just didn't love my experience. Say, obviously I'm happy with that. I've taken my initial out already. Beam, Libra. Okay, like Libra is just a complete mess, but I'm locked. I'm just gonna have to hold it, but it is a complete mess. Talked about Shido, Sovereign, very bullish. Talked about Neutron, Crown. I really don't know what's going on with this game. Gets short everywhere. Everyone says it's great, but the price is not reflecting that. Not sure. Graph I talked about. Altura, I really don't know. The price action is not fantastic. Alluvium talked about. Astar, I've taken out my initial. I think this is a super bullish project. Just happy to see where this one goes. Frax, it's really taking its time to get moving. Reach is a bit of a disaster. And Red Pill, sold my initial. We talked about that. Now, if we do happen to nuke, these are things that I'm looking to get into. So just want to talk about a couple of them. I've got here Atom, Osmo, Tier, VDO. These are all Cosmos ecosystem plays. Mainly the Atom, Osmo, and Tier is so that I've seen a lot of videos out there of people staking these and getting good airdrops as new apps, as new dApps developed in the Cosmos ecosystem, and I'm all for that. So if we get a nuke, I'll definitely be onto that. Video is just it's like a microcap in the Cosmos ecosystem. It's just a Cosmos play. Restake Finance. If we do get a nuke, that'll be a good one. That's going to play off the Eigenlayer narrative, because Eigenlayer is probably going to be Q3 when it has a mainnet launch, or maybe not mainnet launch, but once the token goes live. So that'll be pretty good. And STX obviously is at this point in time the pioneering L2 for Bitcoin. If we get a dump, if we get a nuke, got to pick that up. And so I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I'm aiming to be back in another fortnight's time, so until then, let's always be looking for an edge. Here's to 2024 going in our favor. Take take care until next time, and thanks for watching the $100,000 to $1 million challenge.